Joining me today is Serena Campbell Barnes with Residents in Recovery. Can you tell me what this Mothers and Substance Abuse Treatment and Recovery programs exactly are?
Yeah. So at Residents in Recovery, we've been over the last period of time looking to develop a family in recoveries program, which whose goal is to help parents in recovery that are looking for reunification with their children. And so particularly with the Mothers Program, we know a significant number of women presenting for substance abuse treatment are mothers with children both in and out of their care. Even those mothers who have lost or relinquished custody of their children, most hopefully hope to fully or partially resume their mothering role. Children are often the primary reason that women state for entering a treatment program. And it's often in the hopes that it will increase their chances of having their children return to them and or to begin to redevelop the relationships with their children while they're in recovery. So in fact, we know that most women most often report parenting concerns as their primary motivator to stop using substances. And so similarly with men who are fathers, many also enter with the hopes of regaining or repairing relationships with their children. Yet historically, their parenting concerns have been ignored in the treatment process.
And how long do people have to register for these programs?
Well, the program in itself is a 17-week program, but because of the nature of how residents in recovery works, we have an ongoing admission into our program. And also, just for people also in the community, sometimes it's not always feasible to start on the initial first date. The group structure allows it to be what's referred to as rolling admission. And so what that means is that a client can enter at any time as long during the process of the group. And so the 17 sessions will run, and which then would be followed by sort of starting over and doing the other 17 sessions. And so at no matter what point in time the woman would join the group, she would be able to complete all 17 sessions.
And how exactly will these programs happen through COVID-19 with all the safety precautions?
Yeah, and so, we've been dealing with that all the way through in terms of all of the program that we've been delivering. We've had to make adjustments at times and do things delivered through video and Zoom and video programs like that. But recently, we've been able to move back into in-person programming and have been able to manage it through, the health, public health suggestions such as masks, frequent hand sanitization of group spaces, so such as tables and chairs. We have group rooms that allow for spacing between individuals. And so we're hoping that the group will be able to be run in an in-person format for the long run. But of course, we also are aware that things have shifted quickly through this COVID experience. And so we do have the ability to transition to video if needed.
And why do you think this is essential to have for mothers in the community, especially?
Yeah, well, women and mothers with substance use problems are an extremely vulnerable population. They face multiple barriers, both at systemic and social levels. At systems levels, many substance dependent mothers are hesitant to seek treatment for their addictions for fear of immediate questions about their children, fears of losing custody of their children. And they often feel powerless as, when systems come involved and, their children are taken away. And so, when that happens for a woman and, she is motivated and seeks the support to obtain treatment, it's important that we support and address those needs that she has as a mother and all of the issues that come a part of that. I think there's this assumption that that everybody should just know how to parent, and that's not always the case. And when mothers complete treatment and with that goal of coming back into the mothering role, and yet throughout their whole treatment experience, none of those pieces, none of the piece, the shame, the feelings of guilt, the fear of maybe not knowing how to do it, or even just the stress of going back into that parenting role, how to manage that with the stress of new recovery, trying to find out who I am in my recovery and who I am as a mother. And so when that's not addressed, it often sets women up for getting into that state where they feel overwhelmed, and often in early recovery, that really increases the risk for relapse again, which just sets up that cycle where women are feeling like failures, and where the children are being hurt in this process as well, because they have hopes as the mother enters into treatment, that the mom is going to come back into their life. And so we as treatment providers really need to support women along that whole continuum of care, not only in staying clean, but also in how do they transition back into those most important roles in their lives, right? The roles that have actually motivated them for wanting to get clean in the first place.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Serena.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Shelby.